Welcome in everybody to another lesson. Today we are going to talk about circles and finding the area and the perimeter, or otherwise known as the circumference of a circle. So just ignore these numbers I have wrote for the time being. We're going to talk about a circle. Of course, when we think of a circle, we have the center of it. I had to hand draw it because my compass decides it doesn't like to stay put when I try to use it. So that's my best hand drawing attempt. Like it or not, I'm sorry. But we have a circle. And then we have the line that runs through the center of the circle, connecting from the center to two endpoints on the circle. That's called the diameter. So when you hear of like an 8-inch pizza, they're talking about the diameter of the pizza being 8 inches. Now, we have also, so we got the diameter. It runs through the center of the circle from one endpoint of a circle to another. And then we have what's called the radius. The radius runs from the center to one endpoint on a circle. It's half the diameter. The radius is half the diameter, and it runs from the center to one point on the circle. So diameter runs from one endpoint of a circle to another, running through the center. The radius runs from the center to any point on the circle. I could draw a radius here. I could draw a radius here. It would all be the same. So you get the same length for the radius. So if you've ever heard of evacuating people within a 25-mile radius, that means that they're evacuating, of course, the center, wherever what happened is, and within 25 miles of it, basically forming a circle with a radius of 25 miles. Now, we have established that, so the diameter, you have the diameter known as d is equal to twice the radius. Or the radius is equal to half of the diameter. Those are facts you can use. So, diameter is equal to twice the radius, or the radius is equal to half the diameter. Now, we're going to talk about first finding the circumference of a circle, which is the perimeter of it. To find the circumference of a circle, which is capital C, you're going to take the formula 2 pi r. Well, we got 2, we got r, which is the radius, but what the heck is pi? Pi is a very low number. I have it written up here at the top, and those are all the known digits that I found on Google. It goes on infinitely longer. It would go on more space than I have for this board or even my house where I'm teaching. Pi goes on forever and ever. So it's agreed that pi is approximately equal to 3.14, or it's approximately equal to 22/7. You may see either one used to represent pi. More often than not, it's 3.14. That's the value of pi. So let's start with our first example here. Let's say we have a radius of 8 inches, right? The radius is 8 inches. So if the radius equals 8 inches, that means the diameter, which is twice that, would be 16 inches. So you have a diameter of 16 inches. To find the circumference of said circle, you would take 2 times pi times the radius of 8 inches, which would be approximately equal to 2 times 3.14 times that 8 inches. So we can plug this into the calculator. I'll use 2 times 3.14, although most calculators have pi in it. It's a Greek symbol, pi, representing about 3.14. So 2 times 3.14 times 8, you get about 50.24 inches. So the circumference of the circle, which is the perimeter of it, the distance around the circle, is about 50.24 inches. Right? Okay. Now, where does 2 pi come from? Or where does that come from? That comes from trigonometry, which is like after Algebra 2 and around pre-calculus. So for now, just understand that the whole distance around the circle is 2 pi times the radius. There is proof of that in trigonometry. But for now, we'll just stick with the 2 pi times the radius here. So let's do another circumference problem. I like to do 3 of each. Let's say the radius is 50 centimeters, right? The radius is 50 centimeters. So to find the circumference, you'll take 2 times pi times your radius of 50 centimeters. So we'll have 2 times about 3.14 times 50 centimeters. Well, I can tell you right now, what you're going to get is 314 centimeters. I know for a fact you're going to get 314 centimeters for your circumference. So the circumference, the perimeter of the circle, the circumference, the distance around it, is 314 centimeters. Alright. Let's do one more. Let's say again, they've evacuated everybody within a 25-mile radius. So we'll say the radius is 25 miles, right? So the circumference is going to be equal to 2 pi times your radius of 25 miles, which would be approximately equal to 2 times that 3.14 times that 25 miles. Alright, now we just stick all this into the calculator. We'll get our measurements. 2 times 3.14 times 25. You get 157 miles. So the distance around the area, the circumference, is going to be 157 miles. So the capital C being your circumference is 157 miles. That'd be the distance around the area. Okay, now we're going to move into finding the area of a circle. Again, the area of a circle, the area of anything, is the total coverage of the area, which would include the inside of it, the total coverage of the circle. So let's start with what we had first. Let's say we had 8 inches for the radius of the circle. The area formula is equal to pi times your radius squared. So the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So in this case, if we want to find the area of this circle, you're going to take pi, right, times your 8 inches squared, which is going to equal, almost forgot the square, which is going to equal, we want to do the exponents first because that comes first in your order of operations. So that would be equal to pi, 8 squared is 64, inches squared is, well, inches squared. So you'd have pi times 64 inches squared. I'm going to put pi because there is a pi function in the calculator. There's a pi button. So we'll have pi times 64. I get about 201.06. So 201.06 inches squared would be the area of the circle. 201.06 inches squared is the area of the circle. All right. Now let's say I'm going to bring back that 50 centimeter radius again. Let's bring back the 50 centimeter radius. So the area in this case is going to be equal to pi times that 50 centimeters to the second power. Well, of course, order of operations dictates that we do the exponents first before we do the multiplication. So that'd be equal to pi. 50 squared, that's 2,500. That'd be 2,500. Centimeters squared as well, centimeters squared. Or square centimeters, however you like to say it. So the area, if you take pi times 2,500, so pi times 2,500, you'll get, if we round to 2 decimal places, you'll get 7,853.98 square centimeters. So the area of this circle is about 7,853.98 square centimeters if you had a radius of 50 centimeters. And let's do one more. Let's say again we have that radius of 25 miles. We have a radius of 25 miles. We want to find the area. So the area, of course, is equal to pi times the radius squared, which would be 25 miles. That would be squared, which would be equal to pi times whatever that is. Order of operations dictates we do the exponents first, so 25 squared, that's 625. Miles squared, well, that's exactly what it is. Miles to the second power, miles squared. Now we can get an approximate value for our area. If we take pi times 625, you would get 1,963.5 square miles. (1,963.5 square miles. So if people are being evacuated within a 25-mile radius, that's 1,963.5 square miles being evacuated. Quite a large area. Alright. So that's really all there is to circles. You have your circumference, which is 2 pi times the radius, or your area, which is pi r squared. And that's really all there is. And remembering that, also remember, the radius is equal to half the value of the diameter, and that the diameter is equal to twice the radius. If you remember those, you'll understand circles. So the next lesson is going to be about volumes of cubes, rectangular prisms, and spheres. We will talk about those in the next lesson. Hope everyone has a good night. Take care.